Delta has re-strengthened to a major hurricane today, now at 25.7 degrees north, 93.6 degrees west as of 11 p.m. Central Daylight Time, this October the 8th. You can see that eye starting to come out on satellite imagery there. Storm is looking rather impressive. It has winds of 120 miles per hour and a pressure of 955 millibars. It's moving north-northwest at 12 miles per hour and is a stage 6 on the CDPS scale. Currently our location appears to be Cameron, Louisiana, and possibly locations just to the east where the landfall zone appears it is likely to be. Wind speed is significant, with rainfall potential being moderate to significant, storm size being significant to major, and the overall threat to land being significant. This all accumulates to a devastating amount of damage being possible, hence the stage 6 on the CDPS scale this system has currently been given. Well, as we do head into the wind field here, we can see what to expect. So you can see those tropical storm conditions just offshore there. Tropical storm conditions can be expected within the tropical storm warning and hurricane warning areas on Friday by early Friday, and are possible within the tropical storm watch areas on Friday night. When it comes to hurricane conditions, those can be expected within the hurricane warning areas by Friday afternoon or evening. Well, as we move into the watches and warnings, there's quite a bit to talk about here. You can read all those warnings below, but I do want to talk about storm surge, which is on the top of the list. The National Hurricane Center has made it very clear that storm surge is the biggest threat with this system. The combination of dangerous storm surge and the tide will cause normally drier areas near the coast to be flooded by rising waters moving inland from the shoreline. The water could reach the following heights above ground somewhere in the indicated areas as the storm surge peak occurs at the time of high tide. So, the maximum areas near the landfall zone will be seeing 7 to 11 feet, and areas around there going with 4 to 8 and then 1 to 3. And some locally higher storm surge is also possible. Alright, well, when it comes to the max winds of this storm, you can see here that eye really starting to come out. AMSU estimating it at 90 miles per hour, RAM at 110. SATCON and ADT have this storm up at a Category 4. But with that being said, Recon does show a 120 mile per hour storm. There's pretty definitive evidence that this is the case, and therefore not only the National Hurricane Center but Force 13 are running with that intensity. Well, here's the cone of uncertainty. In about 24 hours' time, a landfall is expected from the advisory set at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time on Friday, so that's just under a day from now. But again, conditions will begin to deteriorate pretty quickly before that. The National Hurricane Center showing a high-end Category 3 on that first forecast point 12 hours from now. Once the rainfall forecast looking likely, you can see there the H-dwarf, you can see relatively widespread 8 to 16 inch areas possible there. So, let's just see here in more detail what exactly the rainfall is supposed to be. So Friday through Saturday, Delta is expected to produce 5 to 10 inches of rain with isolated maximum totals of 15 inches from southwest into south central Louisiana. These rainfall amounts will lead to significant flash urban and small stream flooding along with minor to major river flooding. For extreme East Texas into northern Louisiana, southern Arkansas, and western Mississippi, Delta is expected to produce 3 to 6 inches of rain with isolated maximum totals of 10 inches. These rainfall amounts will lead to flash urban, small stream, and isolated minor river flooding. As Delta moves farther inland, 1 to 3 inches of rain can be expected, with locally higher amounts also possible. So what are sea surface temperatures looking like? Well, right now they're looking decent for the storm, 27 to 28 degrees Celsius, but those are going to begin to drop off relatively quickly with time as the storm does move northward. So it's going to be weakening upon landfall. That is a guarantee. We aren't expecting a major hurricane landfall right now, but it can't be ruled out depending on just how much more it manages to strengthen in the small window of time it has left to do so. What are the chances of tropical storm force winds? As you can see, we move northward here. A vast swath of the state of Louisiana is in a greater than 90% chance of tropical storm force winds. Cameron, Louisiana, well within that. You can see there New Orleans in the 30 to 40, 40 to 50% area. You can see there those chances of tropical storm force winds extending well inland. When it comes to the chances of hurricane force winds, you can see, and you'll be able to see here in a moment, over 70% chances for some areas in Louisiana. We're pretty confident that hurricane force winds will be striking land at this point. Wouldn't be surprised to see when we do hone in a little more on where that landfall is going to be, those greater than 90% chance contours heading over land. Let's take a look at model guidance. The intensity guidance generally showing a uptick in intensity for the next I'd say about 6 to 12 hours before intensity really begins to drop off. We'll see why in just a moment. Firstly, wind shear is going to be going up from this point forward. For the storm, that is obviously unfavorable for it. You can see here as well, sea surface temperatures are really going to take a dive below 26 degrees Celsius before landfall, and mid-level relative humidity as well as land interaction. All factors in this storm's decrease. It's important to note that small changes in the track, structure, or intensity of delta could have large impacts on where the highest storm surge occurs and wind speeds as well. So, anyone along the coast is urged to stay tuned for possible changes and updates to where delta is expected to go. The deepest water of storm surge will occur along the immediate coast near and east of the landfall location. With that being said, there's also a risk of a few tornadoes with this storm beginning late tonight and continuing through Friday over the southern portions of Louisiana and Mississippi. You can see here on satellite appearance this storm is looking quite good, and those minus 80s are really starting to blow up on the northern side. The storm's eye is really trying to come out right now. We'll see if it manages to do so. Stay tuned to Force 13 for live coverage and further updates as this does progress. You can follow our outlets. First of all, the website, force13.com, with new articles coming out all the time for your reading pleasure about all things weather. YouTube.com/force13 with our tropical weather bulletins, animations, and tropical updates. You can also find us on Facebook with more information on those things. And then also on Twitter. We have the US branches and AU branches on there as well, but you can see the URL below. Teespring.com/store/force13. That's where you can find things like the Smug Mug to buy. And finally, the Patreon. Patreon.com/force13, where you can support the project and help it become even better.